Another game, another absolutely huge run allowed by the Pacers. Another game, another tight loss for the Pacers. They're certainly playing better. They're not playing good enough to win. What went wrong in Toronto? Who was good? Who wasn't? We'll break it all down today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving if you're listening and traveling today, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today the Pacers lose another one, a tough one, a tight one against the Raptors. Brandon Ingram scoring with 0.6 to go to send this one into the column of a Pacers loss. Obviously, the Pacers' late game play was not where they needed it to be. They were winning with 5 minutes to go, but I don't really think the end of the game was the story of the game. Neither did anybody watching. The story was another crushing, horrible 12-minute run for the Pacers that absolutely cost them in this game. They were better than the Raptors for huge amounts of time in this game and still could not get the win. We'll talk about it all. The run, the late game, Jarris Walker being great to start this one, McConnell's resurgence in the second half, the big three, a new lineup that the Pacers are very excited about and using quite a bit, and so much more. Okay, let's start with the thing that I also started with for Pacers Pistons on Monday. That run against Detroit happened very fast, like 5.5 minutes fast. And so I spent a lot of time talking about how fast it was, and the Pacers were better than the Pistons for a lot of the rest of the game. And I talked about Pacers runs from last year and compared it and, how fast that one was. This one was not as fast, but was more damaging in volume. The Pistons run was 25-6. That's plus 19. This one was 22-0 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. The Pacers were playing great until that point. Their defense looked really sharp. The Raptors were off. They were disconnected. The Raptors finished this game with the lowest effective field goal percentage of any team that won a game in the NBA this season, right? The Pacers defense was better in this game. They were forcing misses. They were great on the glass. Their offense was kind of humming. And all of a sudden, for some reason, late in the second quarter, they just evaporated into thin air. They forgot what they were doing. This was a game of runs to the extreme. So let's run through it and talk about it and talk about why, to me, it's just a frustrating thing to watch for this Pacers team. 4 minutes, 22 seconds to go in the second quarter. Ben Mathurin scores. 48-38 Pacers after he makes that shot. They're up 10. Their lead got down to 5. They got it back to 10. Look at that. There they go. They're going to be up at halftime, have good vibes. That's great. And then Andrew Nembhard hits a free throw. 29 seconds later, they go up 11. The Pacers did not score any other points at all, including 3 missed free throws, until there was 8:41 on the clock in the third quarter. That is 7 minutes without points. Siakam missed 2 at the line, and then he missed the third and made the fourth of those free throws. They lost by 2, by the way. So that was horrible. Over 7 minutes of no points. Their very next trip, Isaiah Jackson dunks with 8:11 on the clock, meaning that is over 8 minutes without points, 11 seconds more. So 8 minutes and 11 seconds with no made shots. Their offense just evaporated, and that happened against the Raptors. And the Raptors' offense in this game wasn't particularly good outside of Brandon Ingram, who was awesome and buried the Pacers late. He had 26 points. Scotty Barnes had 24, but he had a lot of them at the foul line. The Raptors this year have been good in transition. The only thing you can't do against them is let them run, and getting rebounds and letting them run helped the Raptors at least get some rhythm. I'm not saying they were scoring a lot in transition, although they did score twice in this game, running off of makes, right? It felt like the Pacers of 2 years ago, but they at least upped their tempo just a little bit. That got Jacoby Walter into a rhythm. That helped Ingram get going quickly, was just kind of skating into the paint all the time, even though he was really off from the field. And that momentum changed the whole game. So this just keeps being a thing for the Pacers. There's one stretch every game where they are just awful. In fact, with 3:28 to go in the third quarter, they were down 74-62, down 12. They were down 11 at the end of the 22-0 run. So if you want to say from 3:53 in the second quarter, where Nembhard made that free throw to put the Pacers up 11, to that 3:28 mark, that's 12:25 of the game. That is 36-14 Raptors, and a 22-0 run is baked in there. So it's 14-14 for the rest of that time. Okay, so that's, again, about a quarter, 25 seconds more than one quarter of the game. The Raptors were plus 22. The Raptors won by 2 on a buzzer beater. That means for 35.5 minutes of this game, the Pacers on the road against a team that had won 8 in a row were 20 points better than the Raptors, nearly a point per every other minute. They were awesome for large swaths of this game. And they were just so awful in that one other stretch that they lost. The same thing happening in Detroit. They were plus 14 for like 40 minutes, 42 minutes against Detroit, and minus 19 in like that. And this isn't to say that they're playing awesome. These stretches happen consistently. This is a flaw of the Pacers. And my theory about this is the same thing when, if you go back, I talked about, so a lot of times this season for the Pacers, these runs have been happening in the third quarter. Half of it was in the third quarter tonight. Half of it was in the second quarter, and it was in the second quarter against Detroit on Monday. My theory about it happening in third quarters, when I talked about the Pacers letting these games get away on their road trip and such, was when the Pacers start to feel their grip on a game slip and change. For a team that's so identity and ecosystem focused, and I think this is a natural human thing. You feel like things aren't going your way, and your natural instinct is, well, what we're doing isn't working. I need to do something different, or we all need to do something different to get out of this. And so guys start to think about individual successes, what they should do to break up what's happening, instead of sticking with the thing that, especially recently, has them ahead or got them the lead in the first place. And tonight they got back to it. They took the lead back. They were winning with 5 minutes to go. That's all great. But for just moments of the game, they can't get their flow back. And it's not like that, in the Detroit game, it was 25-6 run. If tonight's game was 6 points in 8 minutes, which is still just terrible, they win, right? They go from knowing what they're doing and playing okay, and they're right in it, or they're winning in a lot of these games, to just like, what is happening? Like, is it these guys' first day in the NBA? Do they know each other? And that's so harsh to say, because they're clearly all good. This team can have and has had long stretches of success, but they don't for long stretches every game. And that is what I think is so painful to this team. So another run cost them. And this one had a Pacers 10-0 run at one point, late first quarter, early second, which is rare for them. And another run late to get it obviously back in the lead. Like, this was a very extreme game of runs. The Pacers had their own. They haven't for much of this season had their own runs. They did in this game, and it was just dreadful how bad they were in this 122-0 run. And I go back to what Siakam said after the Detroit game, which is what makes this so challenging, specifically for the Pacers and the Pacers players, is that when you lose because of a run like that, it's honestly a little more painful. One, because you lost a close game, but two, because you are capable of not that, right? This was the case for last year's Pacers that started 10-15. When you have high highs, and for this game for the Pacers, they're playing the team with the second best record in the East, and they were 20 points better than them for 35 minutes. That's a high. That's a good level of basketball for a long time. And then instead of continuing even a semblance of that level for the other 12 minutes of the game, you just do nothing resembling strong play or good play at all for however amount of time. That has to be so frustrating, because you're better than that. This isn't like the road trip that they went on that was just awful, and I kept doing the stats about like how awful they had been in 4-game stretches and all this stuff. That was a little more helpless, where it's like, okay, they're not actually that good, so bad stretches shouldn't be expected. They've been playing good of late. Like, since Mathurin came back, they've been very competitive. They lost by 15 in Detroit, but were like within 7 in the fourth quarter. They beat Charlotte, tight with Detroit, tight with Toronto. This is all kind of dangling with faint praise because they've lost all these games. But clearly, anyone who's been watching them can see Cleveland, they were within single digits in the fourth quarter. Competitive, more competitive, but they can't win. And they keep third quarter in Cleveland, Detroit game, second quarter, this game, this one stretch. They keep having one super, super costly run that gives the game away. And they did it again tonight. And I think if they could just make that go from completely destructive to like minorly problematic, it would go such a long way. For this team, they've got to figure this problem out. I asked about it after the last game. Guys all had their theories on why these runs are happening. It happened again. It cost them. And so did the last two possessions. Pacers tied with the ball, 95-95. What happened late? Why did the Raptors win it there? We'll get to notes on McConnell and Walker, and then we'll empty the notebook late as the Pacers lose another tight one. It's all coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, let me tell you about the great folks over at FanDuel. The NBA is back. The NBA has been rolling for over a month now, and there's no better place for you to get in on the action then with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand for the Pacers, that's been their opponent for about 10 minutes of every game. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks like the Pacers had in this game and so much more. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is the one making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. And you everydayers who listen every single day, you're the best. Thank you so much. I keep getting the comment about, oh, it's got to be so hard to do this season. It does not. It's very fun. I love doing this. I love watching these games and talking about this team, and I couldn't do it without you guys listening every day to Locked On Pacers on the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Make Locked On Raptors your second listen. Sean Woodley will talk about the Raptors, who are quite good, emerging in a game where they played quite poorly with the win. That's what great teams do. I was high on the Raptors coming into the season. I feel good about that, even though they played largely pretty bad in this game against the Pacers. You know, didn't stink Brandon Ingram, who hit the game winner. He was 11 for 23. The Pacers, I have my own theory on their change of the starting lineup for this game, but I think a big part of it was Ben Shepherd stunk guarding Brandon Ingram last time these teams played. They needed to put different guys on him, and Siakam was giving him trouble until the last shot. Ingram creates space, very calm, like one of the most calm game-winning shots I've seen in a while. Steps back for a midi with 0.6 to go to put this one away. Mathurin actually gets a 3 up in that final 0.6. So the Pacers are tied. Ingram scores with 2:21 to go to give Raptors 95. The Raptors do not score again until that last shot. The Pacers gave themselves chances. TJ McConnell tied it with 1:33 to go. He had the exact same shot with 56 seconds to go for the lead, couldn't get it. They stopped quickly and get a rebound with 38 seconds to go. Honestly, the last 5 minutes were very back and forth. I said the Pacers were winning. They're up 90-88. It's not like, or 90-86, 90-87. I can't quite remember. Regardless, it was very close and back and forth the whole time. It's not like they gave up some massive lead and choked or anything. They lost, like they didn't, whatever. You get what I'm saying? But they had chances to take the lead twice. And once was a McConnell shot that he had just made. And I think everybody thought he could make it again. He was terrific in the second half of this game. Then let's talk about the last two plays, because I saw a lot of discussion about them online. One is the Pacers play with 15 seconds to go was when the shot went up. So Pascal Siakam's got it. He's being guarded. He turns around to set up a shot for himself. And Brandon Ingram's guarding Andrew Nembhard. And Andrew Nembhard is on the left wing. So Siakam is backing down his man kind of at the free throw line, maybe a little bit to the left side of the free throw line. And Brandon Ingram's pretty close to him. Brandon Ingram sneaks over and says, Pascal Siakam, you are not spinning over your right shoulder and then going to the cup. And Siakam sees him, and he's slow. And then he spins around his defender. Great move by Siakam. He gets a little bit of an opening. It looks like he's got a shot at a game winner. Jakob Poeltl, good rim protector, slides over from the weak side and blocks it to get the Raptors the ball back. So I get the move from Siakam. It looked like for a second he created an open shot, and then it was blocked. A lot of the discussion of the play was, well, why didn't he pass it to Andrew Nembhard? And that's so easy to say in hindsight when a shot gets blocked. I think that when he had his back to the basket at the free throw line, throwing it to Nembhard creates no advantage. Brandon Ingram would take one step, and he's right on him. And then after the spin move, Ingram actually turns and faces Siakam at the basket. Then if he had passed it to Nembhard, sure, yes. Andrew Nembhard probably would have had a half-step advantage or space for a shot, but that's a hard pass. He's going full speed toward the basket. His vision probably can't even see Andrew Nembhard. You can call that a critique of Siakam that he couldn't see or do that pass, but it's hard. I guess you could say that obviously he got blocked. Like, he did not make a great play, but so I guess you could say that he should have done something else. But I don't think that specific critique, which is the one I've seen the most, actually is correct. If anything, more patience after the spin move is what was required to see how Poeltl was rotating. Could he have got it to Huff? Could he have got it to the corner? What else was there? But I didn't think it was a horrible shot in the moment, and then it got blocked. I was very impressed with Poeltl. And on the other end, Ingram, who had just missed a 15-footer the play before that and a 17-footer the play before that, or excuse me, 2 plays before that, with a quickly miss in the middle. Siakam was defending him okay. And on this one, he stays with him pretty well, but Ingram just very calmly drills it. You just kind of tip your cap on that kind of shot, but the Pacers had a chance to do a little bit more with their possession before that. They would have, I think Siakam would like to have it back, knowing that Poeltl could get down there, but alas, that's not how this works. You have one chance at it. They didn't get it. They only score the 2 points in the final 2 minutes and whatever of the game. They got to 93 with 2:40 to go. So only 2 points in the final 2:40 for the Pacers. Just another long run and another heartbreaker, right? Like, we could go over this over and over and over again, but this is their fourth time this has happened. The Oklahoma City game, the Pacers made their own impressive shots. I think they tied at the end of regulation and OT, but obviously a shot in the final 30 seconds of those games twice, made the Pacers not win. And then in Dallas, Aaron Nesmith misses a 3 at the buzzer, and then Giannis hits a shot at the buzzer, and now this Ingram shot. I mean, the Pacers being 6 and whatever that would be, 6-12, which is still a terrible record to be clear, is like the smallest possible margin, like literally the smallest possible margin for a 4-game difference. One play in all those games flips and the Pacers win them. But guess what? That doesn't matter. They've got to perform better in these clutch games. They did against Golden State. It's in them. It did not happen for them today. I literally have in my notes, like, the next stop probably has to be on Brandon Ingram. Once he starts to miss, they have a chance to win. He missed it on the next possession, but it wasn't there for the Pacers tonight. They did not quite get it done late. 2 guys I want to highlight before we empty the notebook kind of generically about the game and some other stuff that I thought was noteworthy. One is Jarace Walker, who was once again on the right side of the good versus bad scale. 13 points for Jarace Walker. 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. 3 turnovers, obviously his worst thing in this game. That was a huge issue for the Pacers, by the way. I don't have that in my notes because it was just like no one turnover was so like, oh my gosh, I have to work this in. But the Pacers ended this game with 18 turnovers and a bunch of those coming in the first half. But Jarace Walker was very, very good early in this game. 11 first quarter points, I believe, only 2 the rest of the way, to be clear. And 8 rebounds in the first quarter, or the first half. He had 11 points and 8 rebounds. Really, really, really good start from him. He's finally kind of turned a corner and found a groove in a way that he just absolutely hadn't earlier in the season. He was awful on that road trip, more turnovers than made shots over a 4-game stretch. He had a 12-game sample where he didn't even shoot 50% from the field a single time, and he didn't shoot 50% in this game. He shot 4 for 9, which is one below that, but 3 of his last 5 games at 50% or better. Obviously, the game before this was fantastic. He finally feels like he has offensive rhythm. He's making and taking catch and shoot threes. He's moving it okay. Right, he just seems way more confident. We'll see if this continues to be a thing because he had some low moments in this game as well. But I just wrote about him, so I have his stats just like easily on the brain. And him starting the game well continues a stretch for Jarace Walker, where it's like, okay, there he is. This is the guy they hope he can be: catch and shoot in rhythm, be a finisher of the offense, because he's not going to be a creator for this team, right? It just hasn't really happened. He had a turnover on that swim move dribble that he was really frustrated about. He had a bad pass in there as well, but largely a really good game, especially in the first half from Jarace Walker, but his second half was meh. The opposite end of the spectrum was TJ McConnell, right? The box score is just tweaking like crazy on NBA.com. I cannot tell you the half breakdowns of TJ McConnell stats. TJ McConnell finishes with 16.7 boards, 6 assists, 2 turnovers. He was awesome in the second half of this game. Him and Jarace really flipped because McConnell was terrible early. He comes in for his first stint, and the Raptors, I've never seen him guarded like this. He very often, when he's out there with a point guard and he doesn't have the ball, the other team just does not guard him, right? We all talked about that a million times, the spacing issues that can provide, what it means for the Pacers. This game, the Raptors, even when he did have the ball, were like, whatever, go ahead, shoot. And he would take it up and like just stare at whoever. And it was often wing-sized players, like Quickly very rarely guarded him, and everybody else on the Raptors is at least somewhat sizable. Besides Jamal Shadd, I suppose. So he was very often looking at a bigger defender, not guarding him at all. So he takes 3 threes very early after subbing in the game, missed all of them, and had an ugly turnover. He wasn't being guarded at all, and very often not by a guard. And in the second half, he figured out exactly what it would take to beat that kind of coverage and just ripped up the Raptors. They brought him in for crunch time, 24 minutes, a lot for McConnell at this stage of his career, especially for a 2-16 team. But he was very, very good in the second half, and he's been much better in the last couple of games for the Pacers. He got enough time off to really recover, and I think that's allowed him to be playing more like himself. So the tale of two halves for those two guys, but I thought they were both the most kind of atypical from their standard level this season, or did something that, of course, deserved longer discussion. A lot of guys were good at other pockets of the game. McConnell, by the way, the Pacers' leading scorer in this one. A lot of guys are good, in other pockets of this game, another lineup that you need to keep an eye on for the Pacers. Let's empty the notebook to close out today is Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, got to tell you about DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long, whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player or team. DoorDash makes every game night even better. They're the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag with player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you actually want. It's not just food you can get on DoorDash. It's everything. Snacks, drinks, headphones, ice, socks, all delivered. They'll cover you with those late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups with everything you need. So next time someone goes off for 50, use the promo code NBA50. The next day, get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus, your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only. 50% off, up to $10 a day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 and older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. And we're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day or second listen. Some fun games in the NBA last night. Cade Cunningham misses a free throw at the horn. Celtics end the Pistons winning streak. Almost 2 winning streaks ended. Locked On Celtics for your second listen. How on earth did Boston get that one done? Okay, lots to get to from this game. Ben Mathurin was kind of tale of two halvesy, not quite as much as Walker and McConnell. To me, like, he had a tough missed layup early after a missed shot that he can totally make. He was really good getting the shots he's capable of early in the game. He just couldn't make them. And he really turned his game around. 15 points on 15 shots for him. Didn't get to the foul line as much, but made 4 threes. He was huge scoring in the second half. 10 of his points coming across the third and fourth quarters as the Pacers surged back into it. So you could tell that an emergence was coming from him because he was missing shots. It's like, not even like, oh, that was tough, but he missed it. Like stuff that, oh, Ben Mathurin always makes that. And he had my favorite pass of the season that might have actually been a shot where he lobbed it in. I think it was a pass given the technique he used to throw it. For one of his 3 assists, he was passing pretty well this game. To get it to Jay Huff at the basket for a finish, he was just terrific in the fourth quarter. And that was a big part of it. Let's talk about a couple guys. Andrew Nembhard was passing terrifically in this game. A gorgeous one to Jeremiah Robinson on a cut when Nembhard saw 2 defenders. He had a couple other great passes in traffic throughout the game, but only 4 assists because the Pacers shot not great on jumpers and things of that nature. And Nembhard 2 for 10 in his return to Canada. He needed to make more shots, but his passing was quite tidy. His defense was quite good. But if he makes shots, they win the game. He's had 2 off nights in a row. I believe he's 6 for 24 across the Pacers' last 2 games. Jay Huff had Grady Dick on him at one point in the first quarter and just spaced out to the corner. Didn't even go for a post-up. That was very interesting to me because he has been really more effective. That's a bad sentence. Much more effective for the Pacers of late. They figured out how to use him. 3 blocks again, 6 rebounds. He was pretty solid in this game, but those kind of plays where it's like, he's got to be more assertive. He's got to try to find a way to get this one going because when he was on the basket on defense, he was once again great. The Raptors really struggled in the paint. I thought Jay Huff was a big part of that. The Pacers' general defense and protection of the rim was very good. By the way, of very small notes in this game, Tony Bradley, DNP. Pacers only played 2 centers in this game for, I believe, the first time all season, fitting the day after Ben Gibson and I talk about the center by committee approach. Not a committee in this game, a standard normal rotation. Isaiah Jackson had some helpful speed moments in this game. He's just infinitesimally faster than Siakam Poeltl. That opened up a lot of the floor. 3 blocks, 3 assists, 2 rebounds for Jackson, but 3 turnovers, 3 fouls. The ugly moving screen that he gets every game now, he's got to find a way to get that out of what he's doing. Let's talk about Pascal Siakam. Actually, 2 other guys to talk about, and then I want to talk about the lineup the Pacers keep going to. Siakam, I would say, in this game. He finishes with 11 points. That's very low for him on 10 shots. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, but 3 turnovers. You just didn't really feel him at all, like in the way you normally can. And the reason for that was kind of obvious. Foul trouble. He had 4 fouls in the first half, 5 by the end of the game. That allowed the Raptors to kind of go at him and have Ingram pick him as the guy that they would go at. Siakam's a good defender, but they just really went at him. And it felt like at times in this game, I felt this way about Mathurin at moments and Nembhard. And that's, a guy who used to play for the Raptors and 2 Canadians, but they played okay. It just felt like at times they were really forcing it or really going for it in a way that can work. They're studs, but was like too much for what the game needed of them at that moment in a way that you just hope if you're the Pacers, they dial it in just a little bit. Ben Shepherd, he did it 2 times, 2 threes for Ben Shepherd, 8 points on 3 of 6 from the field, 5 rebounds. There he is. Ben Shepherd plus 25 The island is thriving. We're having a party tonight. We have gotten some resources on Ben Shepherd Island. We probably should be rationing them and saving them for a long winter, but we are partying tonight. Ben Shepherd was good in this game where Carlisle turned to him quite often because he was good in this game. He plays more than Jarris Walker. He plays much more than Isaiah Jackson. Deserved minutes for Ben Shepherd, who not only made shots, but actually did some stuff on defense in this game after being just not useless. He was okay against quickly, but very ineffective defensively the first time that we got Pacers versus Raptors this season. Okay, last thing to get to before I just talk about the game kind of generically. Again, the Pacers are loving this lineup. I think we've seen it in the fourth quarter in 3 straight games. Huff and McConnell around their big three. So this is a lot of stuff that is similar to last year. I would say as close as they can get in that they have 2 point guards. They have their big three, but they have 2 point guards and they have Siakam and they have shooting and they have enough defense. And it's just really been working in a way that is productive. That group entering this game was +6 in its 4-ish minutes. That's not very much, but they've turned to it several games in a row. And then in this game, for some reason, my live stats. Why did I close this? I'll pull up the live stats for their lineup as I talk about it. But that group continues to look good. It's got enough spacing. It's got enough ball handling. It's got enough defense to really work in a way that I think is meaningful for the Pacers. I think that's been their best crunch time 5 a lot recently in a way that is very important. 4 minutes and 22 seconds for that group today. Pacers in their 8 possessions. Oh no, nine defensive possessions only gave up 6 points with that group. They struggled to score a little bit, but you can tell they really, really like that quartet. And I think they're going to continue to turn to it because it's been very productive. They did lose their minutes by 2 today, but it's been working, and it's something that certainly they'll keep going to. Just generically on this game, I thought the Pacers rebounding and connectivity in their best stretches were really good in this game. They were scooping up a lot of boards early. They lose the rebounding battle in the end. That was a big part of the Raptors turning it around. They got going on the offensive glass at times in this game because the Pacers defense was pretty good, but the Raptors were missing shots. Once they scooped up some of those misses of capable shots that they could make, it really turned things around because the Pacers were keeping the Raptors out of the restricted area very well. Only 4 shots in the restricted area in that first quarter for the Pacers. Once that ramped up, the Raptors got more rebounds, were just more forceful, but the Pacers defense was a lot better. They limited the Raptors from getting line drives to the basket and more so just medium drives. But they were up 9 and playing well early, and then it all kind of fell apart for them on defense. But the rebounding was worse in the second half. A couple other things that I think the Pacers would like to have back from this game. 2 of them, actually. 2 buckets they gave up off of makes. Scotty Barnes with a layup after Siakam scored. That was Siakam's man, so you can maybe forgive him specifically because Siakam scored in the lane, but somebody had to pick him up. Nobody did. Easy basket for Scotty Barnes. And then they got a corner 3 from Jacoby Walter off of a made Nembhard free throw. That's 5 points on transition off of makes. The Raptors love to run, but 5 points in a 2-point win. Very, very, very crucial basket. And the other thing the Pacers will be kicking themselves for in a 2-point loss, 14 for 23 at the foul line. I'm sure many of you have been screaming at me to say that for the 20 whatever minutes that this podcast has been going on, but the bench provided a lift. They've been solid 2 games in a row. The Pacers had some defensive successes in this game. They got some shot making from role players who haven't been making shots, some progress in many ways. They give up 97 points and they still lose. Their offense wasn't enough. The turnovers were too high. The missed free throws were too much. The crunch time was awful. The 22-0 run did them in. They are 2-16. They're playing better of late, so that record sounds rough, but that's what they are. That's what they have been. They'll try to get a win against the other 2-win team in the NBA Friday. They play the Wizards in that game. We'll talk a little bit about the context of their record tomorrow ahead of that game. We'll talk a little bit about a report about a trade target tomorrow. Kevin Pritchard is talking, but right now, Pacers' worst record in the NBA. Wizards are 2-15. Everyone else has 3 or more wins. Back tomorrow talking more Pacers. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East and this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you very soon.